Welcome. This is a visual essay focused on comparing maps from Rome, which is in Project 1, and taking it to a different scale in Project 2. Walking through the Burton Bar Library, you move through wide open floors, quiet light, and a layout that makes the building feel calm even when it's full. The building was designed by Will Bruder to serve Phoenix as more than a storage site for books. People from all over Phoenix use the space: students, families, people who rely on public computers, and community groups who need somewhere to meet or work. The building isn't just a library, it functions as a public anchor for the neighborhood, offering resources and access that many people don't have at home. And this experience of walking through the space sets up my argument now, because the building's openness and restraint say a lot about how our society stores meaning today. So in the past assignment, I looked at how modern Rome, the imaginative world of a society, was built into the environment itself. The architectural excess, the ornamented facades, and the detailed maps drawn by Giovanni Battista Felda were externalizations of what people believed and valued. Rome valued their physical record of collective thought. Its streets and monuments reflected the dreams and fears of a culture that relied on material space to store meaning. Architecture mirrored the moral and imaginative systems of the time, a point supported by scholars who argue that infrastructure expressed a society's cosmology, needs, and interest. Today, this imaginative world has moved. What once lived in stone and ornament now exists within digital systems that hold our archives, our anxieties, and our creative lives. Screens and servers absorb the symbolic weight that architecture once carried. Shannon Mattern argues that contemporary buildings no longer need to represent knowledge because digital platforms take on that role. If Falda's Rome expressed meaning through dense and theatrical space, the built environment today often appears stripped down as a response to the saturation happening inside our devices. The Burton Bar Central Library in Phoenix makes this shift visible. Although it houses an enormous amount of knowledge, the building presents itself with restraint. It is a large container of open air, long spans, and cold surfaces. Instead of the decorated ceilings or crowded shelves of historic Renaissance architecture, Burton Bar uses exposed concrete and controlled light. Kathleen James notes that architects often create this sense of spaciousness as a response to the complexity of digital culture. The emptiness becomes a way to manage the invisible density of contemporary information. The sky room, the clerestory lights, and the long linear plan do not act as symbolic statements like the motifs found in Baroque libraries. They offer a neutral atmosphere that avoids heavy metaphors. The roof, shaped by ideas taken from desert winds, focuses on performance and climate rather than symbolic meaning. This aligns with Raynor Benham's observation that modern cities often prioritize technical clarity and environmental response over narrative representation. Phoenix, shaped by heat and infrastructure more than myth, creates architecture that reflects networks rather than stories. The building's strongest statement appears in the relationship to computers. Large areas are reserved for digital access, power, and collaborative work centered around screens rather than the books. Reading and learning are no longer tied to the page on a book. Shannon Mattern describes the modern library as a logistical system that manages the movement of information rather than its physical display. This is vastly different from Renaissance Rome, where knowledge had to be visible and permanent. With this in mind, Burton Bar becomes a contemporary map of human consciousness, similar to how Falda's maps reveal the cultural life of Rome. Instead of ornamented margins and dense imagery, the modern map is made of spatial openness and controlled daylight. The library acknowledges that thought now accumulates in non-physical space. As Aldo Rossi describes, architecture today functions as a stable frame for lives defined by shifting digital environments. Burton Bar, I think, shows this transition clearly. Where the Rome of the 17th century placed imagination in the external world. Today it moves inward and into electronic systems. The physical world simplifies itself in response. Burton Bar is not a sign of diminished creativity, but evidence of where creativity now resides. The library reflects a society whose symbolic life has migrated into digital circuits rather than physical stone. And like Fauda's work, it captures a specific moment in cultural development. Thank you.